All right, let's look at triggers. Today we are getting into module 2, which is about knowing yourself, knowing thyself. And I really wanted to highlight this idea that I planted the seed for in the last module, that anger oftentimes, especially in the bodies and beings of men, might sometimes actually look, when it's repressed, more like depression than anything. So there is a clear link in the studies, in the data, between male depression and suppressed anger. So this work is warrior work, and it requires full presence to go in and down and figure out what's happening inside of you. They say anger has eyes, and it is deeply intelligent. Anger has eyes, and it's deeply intelligent. It's always looking at for what is the trigger. And the trigger may be a little thing, it may be a common thing, it may be an everyday thing. But what it's usually pointing to is some deeper unmet need. Especially this is a big one in relationships. I work with couples, and what I see so much is it's actually never about the little things. It's never about the dishes or the laundry or the communication. It's about deeper unmet needs. So I want you to hold that idea of what are the deeper needs? Hold that question. What are the deeper needs that lead to the triggers? Because it could be anything. And as you descend into this question of uncovering what the deeper needs are, what we're doing is we're going into the dark. We're going into the unknown. The body holds information. So if you have a pattern in your body, like maybe it's a clench of your fists, or maybe it's a clamming up at your throat, or a freeze response, or a tightness in your solar plexus, I want you to start to notice and connect the dots between your sensations of what's happening in your body and when the triggers happen for you in your life, so you can dig deeper into the question of what are your needs. And I talked a little bit about nice guy syndrome. Nice guy syndrome is a dangerous condition, and often a lot of nice guys will have trouble with anger because nice guys avoid conflict. The reason I am such an expert on nice guys and nice guy syndrome is because I myself am a recovering nice guy. I am a recovering people pleaser. And another word for this is a codependent. A codependent personality wound is when we are in relationship with someone else, and the sort of mantra of the codependent is, I'm okay if you're okay, and furthermore, I'm only okay if you're okay. See how entangled that is? How sticky that is? So nice guys are terrible at this because nice guys are, by definition, codependent on the good opinion of others. Here's a couple of the core qualities of nice guys. Is the nice guy will navigate life by the good opinion of others. The nice guy will avoid conflict, and underneath that avoidance is actually fear of rejection and fear of abandonment. So avoiding conflict because of fear of rejection and fear of abandonment. Third is the nice guy seeks external validation. Seeking external validation. And 4, the nice guy soothes himself with the feminine. Soothing himself with the feminine And finally, number 5 is he lacks male relationships, solid, accountable, masculine relationships. So the remedies for each of these are obvious, but for the first one, navigating life by the good opinion of others, the shift is into your lion-hearted man, your lion-hearted king, is having your internal compass intact and operating from that place of knowing. While the nice guy avoids conflict, the lion-hearted knows that no conflict equals no growth. The lion-hearted man knows that conflict is where the growth happens, whether it's in his business, whether it's in his relationship, whether it's with his children as he's parenting, with his partners in his work sphere, or his clients, or with himself, those inner conflicts and defeating that inner tyrant. And so while the nice guy seeks external validation, the lion-hearted man is internally sourced, has an internal source of validation. While the nice guy soothes himself with the feminine, the lion-hearted man appreciates but doesn't get needy with the feminine. You see the difference? That there's a mother wound in the nice guy that is inhabiting his solar plexus, where he's looking for validation to please the mother, and the ugliest way that plays out is with his wife or girlfriend, if he projects that onto her. So moving the mother is breaking that boyhood imprint and coming into his sovereign lion-hearted man, where he appreciates the feminine. He can have love flow between him and the woman in his life, but he's not in that hooked in place of needing validation. And the lion-hearted man has more male friends. He finds a way to get that support. The core difference between the nice guy and the lion-hearted man is that the nice guy believes that everyone else's needs are more important than his. Everyone else's needs are more important than his, and so he will self-sacrifice, and he will act like a martyr. He will act like a rescuer, and then he will become resentful. He will become resentful because of that self-sacrifice. And that's when passive aggression sets in. So I'm describing some triggers here, mostly around the nice guy archetype, which is very pervasive. And the nice guy usually gets to the point where he actually denies that he even has needs. He denies his own needs, and that's what creates resentment and aggression. The work, of course, is to claim the needs. Claiming the needs, in order to do that, you need to know what the needs are. So descending into the darkness, into the primal, into your primal nature as a beast, as a man, there are 4 F's, and these come from an author named Traver Boehm, who wrote a great book called Man Uncivilized. And the 4 F's of the primal masculine that every man has to own as part of his need architecture in his being are 4 F's that are fight, fuck, feed, and feel. You want to write these down. Fight, fuck, feed, and feel. These are all primal desires. So fight is where the conflict zone is, where you may need to stand up for yourself, where you may need to get strong-hearted and take a stand. Fight is a matter of sexual desire, and maybe what is happening in your relationship is not that you need to communicate better. There's a common fallacy that suggests that we just need to communicate better. But actually, desire and intimacy are not the same thing. Let me suggest that intimacy is actually about speaking the truth. Intimacy is about truth. So you can sit for an hour with someone and be intimate with them when you're just really listening deeply and emotionally to their whole process. And that's a form of intimacy. But desire has a embodied quality to it. And desire has a sexual polarity to it, where there's an attraction or a repulsion or a neutral depolarization. So one of the things that a lion-hearted man who's beyond the nice guy imprint, one of the things he does is he knows his desires, and he's capable of claiming them, including sexual desire and how to woo and rekindle love and sex. And of course, feed, to be nourished, not only literally with food, but what nourishes his soul. What does he need to do to take care of himself so he's not a workaholic and a walking powder keg of explosives? What does he need to feed and soothe himself and to feel? Inside of one of my favorite poetry books for men, and this is like if you're ever in a men's group and you need a go-to book or just a great resource, The Rag and Bone Shop of the Heart, collection by Robert Bly, James Hillman, and Michael Meade. There's a whole section on the via negativa. The via negativa is the dark or negative life, and that's the stuff that's hidden. That's the stuff that's typically repressed in modern people. So these are the questions I want you to ask yourself. Where are you sad? Because often one of the biggest repressed parts of the male experience is sadness, just genuine sadness, to let that happen. Or maybe where are you scared? Where is the growth edge of the conflict that you're scared to face? And where do you need to bring courage to that? What about hurts? Often we wear armor and we're defended when we're actually hurting here. So where are you hurting? And maybe that's a question you can extend to the people who matter most to you in your life, your partner, friends, family, other partners. And here's another question. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding? Maybe even from yourself. And maybe one of those things you're hiding is a need that you haven't given yourself permission to claim. Let us define needs for a moment as a voice claiming a satisfaction. Let's just imagine that's what a need is for a moment. A voice claiming a satisfaction. And trust that when you listen and attune your ear to that voice and get to the need underneath the trigger, then it'll be that much easier for you to claim that need. So there's a couple more things I'm going to bring into another lesson inside of this module around the neurotransmitters of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins, because it's also vital for this point in the journey of this course to start to understand inner state mastery and start to have a language and connect the dots between the neuroscience of what's going on chemically for you inside of your inner state, so that you can have more control, have more influence, have more self-mastery in your leadership. So that's it for today. Did I forget anything? There's another thing that happens in relationships where sometimes one person in the relationship, whether it's a romantic one or a business one or a workplace one person will stay quiet for both parties until you explode for both of us. That's the quote. I'll be quiet for both of us until you explode for both of us. and this often happens when there's two passive aggressive patterns dancing with each other. So this is just I just threw that out there in case you recognize that anywhere of avoidance. The real call to action here is getting brave and saying what's happening for you, being truthful and leading with that truthfulness and making space for courageous conversations. Can also include taking the leadership initiative and pre-framing the conversation, like saying to that other person, oh, hey, there's something I really want to talk with you about. Maybe tomorrow after we finish this task at 4:00, we can have a moment, to talk about it. So also there's a way, if there's something that's hard to face because there's a conflict in there and it's hard to push through, you can pre-frame that conversation by setting it up, by planting the seeds and making space for it, or like saying, hey, this is really hard for me to say, but I want to set it up by saying, let's talk about this because this is important. So really, leadership is all about framing and effective communication. So thanks for tuning in to this lesson, and I want you to ask yourself those questions around the via negativa, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.